Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the preacher for the burn, Nick. I still want to go get in a chopper. With this intro music, it's so yes, we're going to either shoot some commies or, train from boxing match or something like that. But anyway, enough about that. So, today, I'm going to be talking about a subject that I feel as though I have some opinions on. I have a few thoughts. And I come to this from a place of some level of knowledge, some level of opinion, some level of professional expertise. And so we're going to be talking about cigar media. Now, right off the bat, I just want to say that this conversation may not be for everybody. There might be some people, hopefully, that don't take offense. But at the end of the day, I think I have a general idea of what I'm talking about here. And, again, this might be kind of a, I don't know. This might be one of those things that, is a little touchy, but it's okay. We got to be able to have these conversations. But first I'm going to get a cigar going. And today I am going to be smoking. I dug through the humidor and I tracked down a HVC Hot Cake. It's a 6x54 Toro, I believe. My little handy dandy size dealy card ring gauge tool thing is not immediately handy. But from all looking up, I've determined it's a 6x54 Toro. Now, the research that I did on this says that it's a San Andreas wrapper with a Corojo, a Nicaraguan binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. If this is San Andreas, this is definitely the smoothest, lightest San Andreas that I think I've seen on a cigar in a very, very long time. So I'm going to trust the research, but I could totally be giving you bullshit, is, I guess, my point. This is not the golden version, and it's definitely not the fresh out of the oven. This is just standard, HVC Hot Cake. So maybe I'm going off. I don't know. In this case, I will tell you flat out, I don't know. I'm not trusting my research. As I'm sitting here, I'm not trusting my research. But, whatever. It's a cigar, and I'm looking forward to it. So, it's time to cut the cigar. And the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, excellent prices, and great, on top of it, prompt customer service. There's nothing else you could possibly ask for. So head on over to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. I didn't have any schmuckus in there. That's good. I like that. I like when I have already cleared the chamber of the cutter and I don't launch clippings all over the place when I pop that. All right. So we got the cigar cut there. A little bit. This is something. For those of you that have the Colibri SV, I do the straight cut. And if you notice, it creates that little, I don't even know how you can see it, little lip, right there. See, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on. It's got that little lip of tobacco. It doesn't cut it completely flush. There's this little spot. And I don't know if I'm holding up or pulling out on the cigar. Maybe I'm premature pulling out. Anyway, whatever. I'm doing something weird, and it's creating this weird little kind of mountain range of tobacco in the cutting zone of the foot there. So whatever. It doesn't really bother me. It's just I don't know. It's aesthetically unpleasing to me. So, all right, I'm going to light the cigar. And while I light the cigar, we're going to listen to the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard.
Yeah. Oh my God, people. The retrohale on this thing caught me completely off guard. Like, way off guard. Anybody that actually watches the video on YouTube or Rumble, or, you know, if I upload this to Spotify, I don't know, because Spotify is I've been doing digging on Spotify. Apparently, my music is not the only music they've been screwing with. There are other podcasts that have been getting the same music-related emails about it's being, you know, removed. I'm in the group on Reddit, and this is not an exclusive thing to me. So Spotify is like doing something. They've tinkered with something, and they're sweeping a bunch of people up in their little net, and it's causing issues. And so, yeah, but whatever. So far the 80s music is perfectly fine. And I have had a few generous offers of some music, that have come through. One of which, was generous. Let's put it that way. It was very, very nice. And, I'm mulling everything over. So for anybody who's emailed me, I'm mulling everything over. I did have an idea, at one point. It'd be a fun idea. It just would be a lot of work on my part. And so we'll see. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So let's get into cigar media. I want to say right now off the front that, where I feel the cigar pulpit comes into play, is I am probably 75%, 70 to 75% entertainment and the rest informational. I don't pretend to be the guy, the expert. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I am most certainly not the authority. I am just a guy, and I like asking questions and talking to people. Sometimes I bring you interviews with cigar manufacturers and industry folks and retailers and whatever else, to where you can actually get some information. If you come away from those episodes having learned something, that's awesome. I love that. I'm happy. That's good. But the point of this show, it really truly is to bring you, some just entertainment, some thoughts, some laughs, some community. I'm bringing the lounge environment to you so that if you're not in the lounge, you can at least get that lounge feeling. Granted, typically in the lounge, you've got more than just one person talking. So, you know, that's why I like episodes when there's more than one, just me. But there's a lot of things that go into that. But nonetheless, I try to bring that lounge feeling. That's why some episodes we talk about stuff completely unrelated to cigars. You know, we talk about a variety of different topics, because that's what we do when we're sitting around in the cigar lounge. We don't just say, "Oh, let's talk about the blend makeup of the cigar that we're smoking," and blah, blah, blah. And typically in the lounge, not everybody's smoking the same thing. So saying, "What are you getting on that cigar?" Well, I'm getting hints of blah, blah, blah. that's not realistic. And so it's it's just not what I'm bringing to the show. And that's fine. Because realistically, if I had to try and figure out twice a week something to say about rolled up, dried up leaves, I wouldn't be doing twice a week. I'd have to do something else, And so by expanding this out, making it the lounge conversation, it allows me to talk about things like why the moon is not what we think it is with Trey Mack and, retirement with my dad. We can talk about various topics. But anyway, I just wanted to set that up right up front, that I'm not saying that I am by any means a definitive cigar news source. Every once in a while I might bring up some news. Every once in a while I might touch on a topic like when we had Josh Abersky on to talk about, California and Texas, things of that nature. But by and large, my goal is not to be the late breaking news source of everything, all things cigar industry. My goal is to be somebody that's entertaining, that brings some things to you. If you learn something, great. If you don't, at least I hope you had a good time listening. And that's what's important. But, what I want to talk about today is when we're talking about cigar media, I feel like there's a couple of different areas. We have magazines, we have websites, we have social media, we have podcasts. And ultimately I think what we have to ask is, what makes cigar media a cigar media outlet useful? What does it bring to the table that we're looking to get out of it? Like what do we want out of this thing? How it in an industry that the media generally is just, hey, let's repurpose this press release and put it out. What is actual legitimate content and what is just a repurposed press release, and we go from there. So the first thing I want to discuss is, this is my thoughts on this, is, what do people actually want from a cigar media source? And I feel like the first thing, and it's not just cigars, I think this applies in a lot of ways. These bullet points apply to the media as a whole. And I can go down a lot of rabbit holes that I'm not going to go down, but there's a lot of issues within the media as a whole. So, let's just hit the cigar media. I might every once in a while drag in a real world example, but the first things first, because we're talking about cigars, and because part of cigar media, whether it's fair or not, is reviews. I think what we really need from everyone involved in cigar media is honest impressions. I think we need to have the trust and faith in these folks that what they are giving us is their true and honest impression and opinion about every cigar. Not every cigar is going to give you flavors of, caramel and the dust at the bottom of a bag of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's just one of those things that some cigars are just a cigar. Like, I smoked one the other day and I struggled to pull any notable flavors or anything. A cigar, sometimes, what's the old say? Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Well, sometimes it's just a cigar. And you get these manufacturers that all like to tell you these elaborate stories about this tobacco and the flavor notes of this and that and whatever. And it's sales, it's marketing. And I understand that. But if you're going to put yourself out there as cigar media, I think it's your job to, pierce through that and determine what's the actual truth and what is the marketing. The next thing is, we need to, I think as a media, we need to maybe do our job a little bit and stop just repurposing all of the things that are given to us and actually do a little bit of reporting. It's very easy when press releases come in to just upload the press release and just let it go. And that's fine. I look, I use press releases in my newspaper a lot. I will fill in space in my newspaper with press releases because I only have 2 reporters other than myself. And, quite frankly, it's just one of those things that if I only use the content that I'm buying from my reporters, I wouldn't have that much content. So I have to flesh it out with some press releases. But I'm also very careful about those press releases that I run. For example, I get a lot of press releases from businesses that are doing news releases about, we're having our anniversary sale. Or, this is a good one. Domino's Pizza partnered with the local fire department. And on such and such a day, if you ordered a pizza from Domino's, the fire department would deliver it. And if they came in and tested your smoke alarm and your smoke alarm was working, then you got your pizza free. Now, on the surface, that sounds kind of cool. But from my perspective, as the guy who owns the newspaper, that is an advertisement to say, order Domino's Pizza. Because now everybody's going to be coming along and saying, I can get a pizza for free that night if I just make sure I have my smoke alarm working and the fire department out and to deliver to me. And, you can't tell me they didn't get an increase in sales that night for delivery because of this promotion. And that's smart on their part. And that's what a business owner should do. Retailers, brick and mortar retailers and these companies, their goal is to try and generate sales. And of course, they're gonna create these incentives, these programs in order to do that. But this is where the media needs to have its own space, and this is where we need to have our. I say we. I'm coming at this from the newspaper side with this comment. Look at it costs money to do what we do. It costs money, in my case for my newspaper, it costs me up close to about $600 a week to print and mail my newspapers to everybody. That's not counting the $450 a month that I pay to my website vendor to maintain my website, which then also sends out all of the Okay, we're going to take a brief break. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I apparently ran out of space on my iPad and had to delete some old videos from old shows in order to clear space to make room for this one here. Anyway, technology, it's such a pain in my ass. So, as I was saying, I have expenses. There's costs involved with doing this. And, sorry, I also let my cigar go out there. While I understand that from the manufacturer side and the retailer's point of view, they want to let people know and they want to use my medium, my platform to let my audience know that about something. At the end of the day, I have worked hard to cultivate this audience. I have attracted people to my product, be it my newspaper or this podcast, and I have told people, hey, listen to me, pay attention to me, and some have done so. And to that point, the manufacturer, the retailer, the business, whatever it may be, we're not talking necessarily cigars. We're talking everybody. They want access to my audience. Well, quite frankly, that comes with a price. And If you want to send me your press release talking about this big sale you're having, I respect that. I get why you're doing it, but consider that because it costs me money to produce, be it the paper or the podcast, consider purchasing an ad to go along with that press release. I will gladly run the press release all day long if there's an ad that accompanies it. I have no problem with that whatsoever. The podcast I'm a little more loosey-goosey about because, quite frankly, it's more of a fun side project for me. That's not to say that, I want every company coming at me being like, oh, let's try this brand new thing and blah, 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 and all that. It's like, there are some companies, God bless them, that have stepped up to help me with the expenses. The equipment is not free. The podcast hosting is not free. I'm coming up on renewal for that here shortly. There are expenses that go along with doing this. And so, God bless Aladino and Two Guys and Villiger and Blackbird, because those companies have stepped up. They have respected what I'm doing enough to put their money behind it. And so, yeah, I'm going to smoke a lot of Villiger, Blackbird, and Aladino, and on the show, I'm going to talk about Two Guys Cigars. I'm going to talk about the purchasing. I'm going to purchase from Two Guys Cigars. That's the other thing. I'm a big believer in do business with those that do business with you. So, I'm putting my money where my mouth is in that regard. But anyway, I guess my point to all of that is, there's a lot of news that's just not news. And that slips through. And, that's something else that I think people want, is somebody to properly curate the content that they're receiving. The other thing, good interviews, like legit stories, not just buzzwords. This is definitely something that I've learned. I'm not going to get into finer point details, but I've had interviews with people where I've had listeners reach out afterwards and they're like, that was a regurgitated press release. And I get it. I totally get it. Sometimes there's a little bit of back and forth politicking involved in the background of said episode. But sometimes an interview just doesn't go as casual and wonderful as you want it to, and somebody's just on their talking points nonstop and they can't get off of them. And there's that. I try desperately to, look, I'm going to give anybody coming on, time to plug their stuff. But at the same time, I want to talk about fun stuff. The interview I did with Lito Gomez Jr., for example, is one that I actually really enjoyed. We talked about LFD and the history of the company. But at the end of the day, we got into all kinds of goofy stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed my conversation with Lito Gomez Jr. Obviously, Trey Mack, he's on the show all the time. We hit on what's new at Aladino, what are they up to, and all this kind of stuff. But then, obviously, we go in some very, very different directions, and that's fine. That's good. I like that. These guys are personalities, and I want their personalities to show through. They're more than just cigars. And so that's important to me. But, at the end of the day, I don't want regurgitated press releases in the form of interviews. Everybody's going to tell you that their cigars are balanced and flavorful, and they're going to tell you all the buzzwords. But, that's not what I think I'm looking for. And it's not what I think you as the listener is looking for. There's another issue as it pertains to cigar media. And this is going to be the one that I think is going to be controversial. This is going to be the area that I feel is controversial. And it's reviews. Reviews are, in my opinion, I feel like the cigar review process is a little broken. And I'll tell you why. And I even find myself falling into the trap. I did it during the Battle of the Budgets, and I did it, well, somewhat. Actually, I have my notes right here from the Battle of the Budgets because I have a very messy desk. Where do we have... There's one in particular I want to look. Okay, yeah, I gave it a 70. So I feel like if you look at cigar reviews, generally, they are all typically these days on a 100-point scale. But yet, for some reason, it's very hard to find a cigar that rates, let's say, 85 and under. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but generally 85 and under. Now, you could say, oh, it's because everything is so good. Is it? Is it really? Is it? I'm not saying that there's a ton of bad, but if everything is that good, if everything falls in the category of, let's say, 87 to 94, if everything falls in that like 7 to 8 point range, what's the point of doing cigar reviews other than just to, like, you know, put out extra content? What are we actually reviewing? If we're saying that every cigar coming out these days falls within that 7 to 8 point category, what is the point of doing it? You know, it's a 100-point scale. Use the 100 points. You know? Do I think anything rates 100? I can't say that I've ever smoked something that I feel is the absolute pinnacle of perfection to where I would say that cigar is absolutely, positively, without a doubt, 100. And anybody who gives more than 100, that's a whole different conversation, and I'm not going to get into that. But like, you know, but 100, I don't even think anything rates 100. Do I think there are some that rate super high? Yeah. Do I think there are some that deserve to rate low? I mean, again, I just said one of the ones in the Battle of the Budgets, I rated a 70. You know, it is what it is. I don't regret that score. Truthfully, I even am sitting here now reflecting back on my experience with that cigar and thinking that score may have been high. In fact, Dave gave it a 60. So for what it's worth, that cigar, you know, he was willing to go low. But we have a 100-point scale. Not everything needs to fall within that 7-point range. And I think it's one of those things where, because some manufacturers feel like, oh my God, if I get like a 60 or a 70, that's not good. Dude, you're still 60 points above from 0. You know, like if you were getting a 20 something, yeah, you've put out a dog rocket. But if you're getting like a 75, that's you're 3/4 to perfect. That should be good, you know? I don't understand why we have this aversion to going and fully utilizing the full. I would be amazed to know. Well, I actually wouldn't be amazed to know. I should say I would not be amazed to know that more than likely of all the cigar reviews done in a given year, there's probably at best a handful. And that's me being generous. A handful that rate below an 80. Realistically, like I said, it feels like everything is in that 85 to 87 to 94 to 96 range. You know, we'll put it in that big of a range there. It's just, I don't see the point. I don't know what the point is. So I'm not the biggest fan of giving a numerical score to a cigar. I'm part of the Stars review team for the Cigar Authority. I am not the biggest fan when it comes time for me to fill out the form. I'm not the biggest fan of putting a score on the thing. I don't like that. You know, the first one was the hardest. The first one was the absolute hardest because that was the one where I was setting the benchmark. After 28 of them now, I've done 28 of them. After 28 of them, I feel like I have a range, and now I can start to like figure out within that range where a cigar may fall. But you know, realistically, even then, I really haven't had, there's been a few that haven't been my favorite, but there's only been one that I really didn't care for. And to be honest, if I knew the number, I would look up the notes on it right now to let you know what the numerical score is I gave. But I will guarantee you this, I was more than likely the one kicked out of the average, because I would have skewed the average down. I did not care for that one, and I did not rate it. I think I gave it probably in the 70s. It is what it is. What? That's kind of my little rant there, is that realistically, the cigar media, and I don't know if it's a thing where, okay, I'll just say it. I don't know if it's a thing where everybody wants to kiss the manufacturer's asses to make sure they get new releases sent to them for further review. Because it's one of those things where, oh my God, that guy shat all over X release. Let's take him off the list and let's not send him the next stuff that we put out. I don't know if that's what's going on, or if these guys have truly no palate. And I'm going to preface by saying, I'm not saying that I have a perfect palate. In fact, I would say that I struggle with some cigar notes sometimes. I'm a very general cigar note person. You're not going to get me saying, oh, this has got hints of this and that and whatever. I look at some of the stars reviews on the cigars that I'm a part of, and I'm thinking, who the hell got that from that cigar? And more power to them if they did. I don't know, but it wasn't me. But, so like I can get some general notes, but realistically, like I'm not drilling down and getting the intricate notes that some of these people get. But my God, you would think that every fucking cigar reviewer out there has got like the golden palate, and every one of them should be a professional food and wine taster, and making millions of dollars, perfecting recipes for some of these companies and things of that nature. I don't know. Whatever. The bottom line is, not every cigar fits in that window. And we're fooling ourselves when we say that every cigar fits in that window. And we need to be okay. If we're going to do reviews, we need to be okay with the idea of utilizing the full 100-point scale. Otherwise, we just need to make it a 20-point scale and call it a day. Because if nothing is going to get below an 80, then just make it 1 through 20 and make 20 the new 100 and 1 the new 80 and call it a day. Because this is all you're doing is just inflating egos by making it, bigger, a bigger number. No, I guess nobody, maybe a 20. Oh, this rated a 20. Maybe that's not as sexy as, oh, this got 100, or whatever. But, I don't know. It's just, I don't dig it. And I don't think reviews that fit within that scale, that 7 to 10 point scale that I talked about, I don't think those reviews actually help smokers spend their money wisely. I think what happens is it helps them justify the purchase after the fact, because they smoke it and they're like, meh, what did this get? Oh, it got a 93. Well, shit, it got a 93. That's a good score. We need to do that. I don't think the reviews, now, again, maybe I'm wrong. You guys, how many of, this is, here's the hotline. I'm throwing out a lot, and there's a lot for conversation here. So guys, call the hotline, area code 863-874-0000. How many of you actually pay attention to cigar reviews before you go and purchase something? Do you have somebody that you pay attention to and listen and listen to and determine like, oh, this guy said it was good and I've liked what he likes, so okay. I mean, maybe that's the case. But if that's the case, do you have to have a numerical value placed on that cigar or that review? Or would you say, hey, hey, Joe Blow that writes this website said that this cigar was really good. I need to go try it. Is that good enough? Or do you need Joe Blow to say, that cigar rated a 93, and you're like, well, my God, it's a 93. I'm going to go get it. Do you need the number, or do you just need the recommendation? Because for nearly 6 years, or over 6 years, I have on this show just done recommendations. I have not done numerical values. Do you need numerical values? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to move off that topic. But, the next thing, and I touched on it in the very, very beginning of this rant. Entertainment versus journalism. Some are like mine. They bring entertainment with maybe a smidge of knowledge, a smidge of education. That's the word I'm looking for. Smidge of education. Others purely informational, and that's great. That's great. I would say the Cigar Authority leans heavily on the informational, and they blend in the entertainment. Whereas if I would say that I'm more 70 to 75% entertainment plus the remaining in the educational, I would say they probably skew more 60% educational, 40% entertainment. That's great. They're the authority, and to be honest, between all of them, they know what they're talking about. So they should be able to skew more towards the educational. And that's great. And that's what makes their show different from mine and different from all the others. Everybody's got a little different thing to them. The best ones will marry that educational and entertainment. That's a personal preference thing. You guys need to determine what you're looking for. You're looking for entertainment. You're looking for education. One of the other things I'm going to gripe about with cigar media is sometimes it can be a little clicky. I mentioned flavor notes earlier, and I told you, in terms of a palate, I have a very general one. I'm not going to tell you that I'm getting specific things. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort to pull out some flavor notes. Some are more obvious than others. Pepper's one that I get on the regular, but that's a that's a fairly easy one to identify. And sometimes, although sometimes just general spice can be anyway, whatever. Anyway, the bottom line is, I feel like sometimes some of these cigar reviewers and cigar media people, they pride themselves so much on their intricate palate that they almost run the risk. And I would say some do. They don't run the risk. They straight up do it. They intimidate newer smokers or experienced smokers that maybe don't worry about those flavor notes. And it's like, if you're not getting notes of nutmeg and leather, are you even smoking the same cigar I am? This is not a situation where we need to be like scaring people off. We need to be inviting people in. And I do feel like that is another common problem in the cigar media. It's one of those things where we sometimes kind of can be a little bit of a gatekeeper, and that's not cool. It's a small enough niche, small enough industry, small enough group that the last thing in the world we want to be doing is scaring people away. So we need to make it inviting. We need to make it fun. And, we need to say, hey, this guy got these flavor notes, but, what do you get? Do you get anything? That's fine if you don't, as long as you're enjoying the cigar, it is what it is. So I don't know. Like I said, cigar media, it runs the gamut. We've got Cigar Aficionado, and look, I've expressed my thoughts on it before. Other people have expressed their thoughts on it. It is a general lifestyle magazine. Does it skew very heavily into that these days? Probably more so than when it launched, but I did do an episode where I went page by page through the first issue of Cigar Aficionado. And if you go back to that, general men's lifestyle was definitely a part of it. expensive vacation locations, wristwatches, fancy cars, suits. All of that was in the first edition of Cigar Aficionado along with cigars. So, for those of us who like to sit back and say, oh, it's become GQ and it's like not really cigar. Look, certain things have changed. The word cigar is not the big word on the cover anymore. Now it's the little word, and advocate or aficionado is the big word. Perhaps there's a little less cigar content, maybe. But whatever, I'm not, again, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're interested in, then go for it. But that also is a situation where you have to ask honest impressions. A lot of people say that the top 25 is bought and paid for by purchasing advertisements in Cigar Aficionado. Do I know that's true? I do not. I've had people tell me that they have research that bears that out, that there's evidence. But again, I think everything is circumstantial until you have somebody from the organization flat out say, yes, this is how we put the list together. And they don't. They always release their criteria that says this is how they do there. So we can all suspect one thing, but whatever. And ultimately at the end of the day, those kind of biases, unless Mr. Shankin and all the high up top brass at Cigar Aficionado completely take themselves out of the picture as it relates to the top 25 and they farm that out to a group of independent people and that's the list, you're always going to have that suspicion. Why, with me, I do my own personal top whatever of the year, but then what I celebrate, what I promote, what I make big is the Parishioner's top, whatever it happens to be for the year. I let the people, the listeners vote on it, and they're the ones who pick what the official Cigar Pulpit cigar of the year is, because it's the Parishioner. So I'm looking to you, the listener, to do that, which, by the way, that'll be rapidly coming up soon. If you can possibly believe it, we're near the end of October. I'm going to be asking for nominations for the 2025 cigar of the year. Such is life, so be watching for that. But, that's the thing. Honesty and independence do play a role in, what you're getting from your media. So I guess the things I'm looking for, the things I'm curious about, what are you actually looking for from cigar media? Are you looking for, interviews? And if you are, what do you want to know in those interviews? I mean, obviously there's the standard question, how did you get in the cigar industry and blah, 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 and all that. But what do you want to know? What do you like it when you dive into somebody and get to know them personally? Or do you want to hear their thoughts on, the blending process and what tobaccos they enjoy the most and this kind of thing? I mean, what do you want to know in the interviews? Are you looking for lounge tours? Are you looking for accessory critiques, reviews of cigars? What exactly are you looking for when you look at cigar media? And if you are looking for reviews, again, I am dying to know, does the numerical score matter to you? Or do you just want that reviewer to say, it's a good cigar, it's a great cigar, it's a medium cigar, it didn't blow my skirt up? What do you want to know from that reviewer? Does a numerical number actually move your needle, or is it just something to have on the review? Anyway, look, guys, I've rambled enough that the cigar has gone out again. Ultimately, cigars are supposed to be fun. And if the media makes it seem like smoking a cigar needs to feel like homework, to where you're sitting and you're studying it and getting all the flavor notes and blah, 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 and this and that and whatever. And, what was the transition point from the first third to the second third and everything like that? If they're making it feel like homework, like you have to do this in order to enjoy that cigar, then they're doing it wrong. It's supposed to be an experience. It's not supposed to be work. it can be work for the media, but they need to find a better way to convey to you, the consumer, the reader, how this works. And ultimately, I think that would make for a better cigar media experience. And maybe do a little bit of work aside from just a press release. Now, I'll also say, before I end my rant here, because I'm all over the place and I'll be honest, guys, this is one of those ones where I'm not entirely sure I got to the point B that I wanted to get to when I departed from point A. But as it pertains to the cigar media, look, nobody, with the exception of a few people, and when I say a few, I can probably only think of maybe one, maybe a couple. We're talking less than five people that I think can actually say that they make a living doing cigar media. It's just not that big of an industry to where you can make an actual honest to God living to where this is all you're doing. I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't opened the doors to the people I need to speak with. Maybe, it's one of those things, Dave always says 10 years to be a overnight success. Maybe I've still got, 4 to 5 years to go before people start realizing that I'm here. But at the end of the day, do I think that I'm ever going to be able to make a living coming to you 2 times a week? Or do I think this is always going to be a fun side gig? I think this is going to be a side gig. I think it's going to be a fun side gig that, can pay for itself with the various expenses associated with it, including some travel to either events or trade shows, things of that nature. That's fine. I don't need it to be my primary source of income. Would I love it to be? Oh my God, I'd love it to be. But I don't know if that's real. I don't believe, in my heart of heart, I don't believe that's realistic. The fact is that while I'm criticizing some places for only posting press releases, obviously, these guys are sitting around in their homes and they're putting together a website or a blog or whatever they happen to be. And the press releases are, in some cases, the only content they have because they don't have the ability to travel to, this office or this factory or do this or do that and really do actual legitimate on the ground interviews and journalism and that sort of thing. But with that being said, I do think that some effort can be made. And I feel like interviews are a very easy one where if you are a cigar website, if you are a cigar blogger, if you're a podcast, if you're whatever you happen to be, and you're just churning and burning content, and it's just press releases and maybe some reviews, consider an interview every now and then, because at least then it's something original that you're putting out in the universe. Hopefully it's not just them regurgitating a press release and, whatever. Just do that. And then at least you're contributing a little something additional to it. But I understand that not everybody has the ability to afford to do that. And God knows, I afford what I can. But whatever. Anyway, I hope that wasn't a complete downer, and I hope it made sense. I'm sitting here now questioning the point of this episode and whether or not I've done it justice. So, let's just move on. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. Okay, so I'm continuing to smoke my HVC Hot Cake, and let me tell you, on the smoking experience, the strength of this cigar is not the highest. It's I would say it's a nice mild, or it's a nice low medium. It's you know, maybe four. But when you give it that retrohale, my God, the pepper spice that just blows through the nostrils. I mean, all of the peppery strength on this cigar is on the retrohale. So far. Now, granted, I'm still fairly early into it. There's definitely some work to be done on it, but it definitely has strength on the retrohale. It's very good. I have not been paying attention to flavor notes. I've been talking to you guys about my issues with cigar media and, whatever. But no, I haven't been paying attention to flavor notes. So I can't give you that just yet, other than that peppery retrohale. But anyway, Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report. So, I finished my run through The Sopranos. It's always sad to come to the conclusion of that show for me. Because there's so much promise set up in some of the things in that show, like leading up to the conclusion of it. Things that Tony says he's going to do. Kind of the development of AJ as a character to where he's not like, I mean, let's be real. The kids are just sniveling little brats pretty much all the way to the end. Kind of annoying. Although Meadow, in the final season, this is the first time watching it through that when I got to season 6, I wasn't immediately just like, oh God, it's a Meadow thing. Meadow was more tolerable, and I think they took her out. Like, she was definitely less of a role in the final season than AJ was, but AJ went on this bizarre little twist, and the whole attempted suicide and this and that and whatever. It just, I don't like the kids on that show. Realistically, on most shows, kids are written poorly. Find me, a sitcom or a drama show where the kids are written well, and you've probably found a very, very, very well written show, because most of the time, even on shows that people say are really good, the one spot you can always point to that's weak are the children. Yeah, it's always sad seeing the favorite characters either, get killed or, whatever. And, that's one of those shows that it's always so fun. And I come to the end, and then, sometime next year, the year after that, I'll be like, I'm going to do it again. And I just do it again. And they're always there. But anyway, what else have I watched lately? I've seen the toilet episode of Ask the Storybots about 30 times this weekend. So I know all about what happens when you flush your toilet, and how the water will pass through the gate, the skimmers, the bacteria, and the UV light and disinfecting light in order to be screened and properly cleansed and then put back out into the ocean. So, the whole water system, I learned all about that quite a bit this weekend. And, there's that. I did, I realized that this segment was going to be a little light. And so I wanted to flesh it out a little bit. And so I realized there was a story from my trip to Florida that I didn't tell you guys. I forgot. And I mean, it's amusing to me. Maybe it's not to you, but whatever. So Friday, I'm flying home. I'm at the Jacksonville airport. My plane is delayed ever so slightly. It's probably delayed about, I think by the time it was all said and done, I think I was delayed maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of about half an hour. But the nice thing was the plane sat 175 people and there were 61 of us. So we had plenty of room to spread out. I was A47. So I was the 47th person, give or take, to board that plane. And so I board and I go to a row that's all to myself and settle in. I'm ready to fly. And, the few remaining people are filing on. Well, these two women sit down in front of me and, it's not that big of a deal. They're just sitting there, in the row in front of me. Neither one of them recline their chair back into me or anything like that. They were fine. I was kind of thinking you can go cross the aisle to where nobody would be in front or behind you and nobody would be in front or behind me, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. But they didn't, and such is life. So we take off and we're probably, 20 minutes into the 2-hour flight. And all of a sudden, like a freaking demon in the night, it just hits the nostrils. Fart. One of these women have farted, and it is noxious, and it is unpleasant, and it is just assaulting my nostrils. And so I'm like, and I'm hoping, all right, we'll live with that, but it'll move on. A few minutes pass by, and guess what returns? The gas. It attacks yet again. And it's thick, man. It's in my mouth, It's unpleasant. It's very unpleasant. And I look around because I'm thinking can I move my seats? Can I get up and move? But in order for me to move, what would end up happening at this point is I would be moving from a 3-seat row that I have all to myself into a 3-seat row that somebody else has all to themselves. I would be moving from this row that I have completely to my own, and I'd be moving into a row that somebody else has to their own self and saying, hey, can I sit on the aisle as you sit on the window in your row instead of me sitting all by myself over there? And I didn't want to do that. It felt weird. I didn't want to do that. I was hoping the gas would pass. And the gas did pass, if you know what I mean. Because it continued. It continued off and on throughout the flight. I'd say it probably ended with about 45 minutes left. So, if it started at about 20 minutes into the flight, it ended with about 45 minutes left of the flight. That's 65 minutes. This was just right around a 2-hour flight. I put up with probably about 50 minutes worth of just infrequent but constant ass-splosions. These were unpleasant. Somebody was having a very bad case of gastrointestinal fireworks. The bowel fireworks were going off like crazy. And I'm sitting in my seat, literally with my hoodie pulled up and over my nose. I felt like I was in COVID time. I'm like wearing a mask on the plane. And to be honest, I probably would have given my right arm for one of my COVID masks so that I could have kept some of this shit out. But such is life, I dealt with it, sucked it up, and moved on. Get off the plane, or get to St. Louis. They get off the plane. And that's when I realized that one of the women, she's walking with a cane and the other woman is helping her. Now, they didn't look elderly. To see them from behind, they didn't look elderly. But they obviously had some medical stuff going on. I saw them again in the airport. I was the last one to get off the plane because, why rush? I'm home. take my time, get my bags out of the thing. I don't have any checked bags, so I can just grab my bags out of the overhead and just stroll on off the plane, stroll down to the little bus that takes me to my car. But in the process of doing so, I get off the plane, and sure enough, who am I following down to the baggage claim area, because that's where I take my little bus, but the farters. And like I said, that's when I realized that there's some medical shit going on. They're moving slow. The one has got the cane. The other one, she unfortunately had some balding, going on, like a crown of the head kind of balding situation going on, to where, like I said, I think both of them had some medical things going on. And so I felt a little bad about, being so critical of their tooting. But at the end of the day, that was my flight. I had the gaseous flight from hell from Jacksonville to St. Louis. And I got to be very intimately acquainted with the after effects of whatever these two women had eaten for the last 48 hours. So there you go, guys. That's your story. Is I got to deal with farters on a plane. I didn't have snakes on a plane. I had farters on a plane. Okay, we have a very, very special Blackbird. It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars, can't clip our wings. Alrighty. This is a very special one, guys. So, Parishioner Jacob Pyle didn't wake up aiming to be a hero last week, but one evening when the opportunity presented itself, he answered the call. Pulling up to the speaker box at a McDonald's in West Virginia, Jacob set his cell phone up in the cup holder there and hit record. From there, he proceeded to take on a challenge that I had laid out to the listening audience, namely to order a 20-piece McNugget, but all in the boot shape. He didn't have to do it, but he did all to see what would happen and to provide his fellow parishioners with entertainment. What happened next must be seen to believe. Through a dubious cover story of a medical mental disorder that only allows him to eat the boot-shaped nuggets, Jacob politely attempts to convince multiple employees of the need for his request. In a clever Easter egg, he even asks for the two sauces that I named in Friday's episode as my favorite, barbecue and regular honey. And while I could tell you how this saga ended, I won't. I'll do one better, and I'll tell you where you can see this unfold for yourself. Jacob posted the video. It's just shy of 9 minutes, to the parishioners group on Facebook. He also sent it to me, and I will be adding it to the end of this episode as the Easter egg after the closing music. So if you go to YouTube and Rumble and watch this episode, or at the very least, skip ahead to the last, 9 minutes of it, you will see the saga of Jacob ordering the 20-piece McNuggets, all boots, at a West Virginia McDonald's. Jacob took my silly idea to do something somewhat funny and somewhat obnoxious, and he followed through. He became part of an employee lore, never to be forgotten by a staff at a random West Virginia McDonald's. So be like Jacob Pyle and Blackbird Cigars and don't let anybody clip your wings. Now, one thing I do want to note about Mr. Jacob, I am doing this completely unsolicited. He did not ask me to do this, but I'm going to. Jacob does his own, he's part of a cigar podcast called, it's the Stick Figures Podcast. The Stick Figures Podcast is, what does a former 1%er biker, a modern farmer, tobacconist, redneck, battle rapper, and submarine vet have in common? Nothing except that they are all brothers of the leaf. Tune in with the stick figures to hear about cigars, tobacco, and life on this comedy cigar podcast. I'm looking on Apple right now, and they've got about 40 episodes all up and uploaded. They've got some that, there's one that's 2 hours. They all seem to run right about an hour from what it seems like. So, if you're looking for another show to, give a shot to, give a shot to Jacob and the guys over at the Stick Figures podcast. It can't hurt anything, and he's a good guy who took on a funny challenge, and it amused me greatly when that was uploaded to the Parishioners group, and I wanted to give him a highlight here. So, Jacob, thank you for your service. You are definitely high in the running for Parishioner of the Year with this activity. So, anyway. Well, guys, it's that time. I'm on the socials at Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. Again, you can get in on that. You can find Jacob's video and a whole lot more. It's a very social group. Everybody gets in on there and shares what cigars they're smoking. So, come in, join, and take part. I'm on Twitter/X. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. I did take a break from Spotify video last week. I might do it again this episode, only due to the fact that they're kind of coming after some of us with the music, and I really don't want to go down that road, but we'll see. But for right now, YouTube and Rumble is where you can view this. But you can always listen to it on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify person, you can always listen to the show there. You just may not watch it. I may or may not have the video up, but such is life. I do need your calls for the Ask the Pulpit episodes. You can give the hotline a call at area code 863-874-0000. That's area code 863-874-0000. I've thrown out a lot for you guys to respond to in this episode. We talked a lot about the cigar media. We talked a lot about cigar reviews. And I am dying to know, what are you guys interested in seeing in cigar media? Are you interested in numerical scores on reviews? Do you care about, that sort of thing? Or do you just want to know, is something, good or not? Do you want to follow the personality, or do you care about the score? The other thing I'm curious about, do you care about reviews at all? Is it one of those things where you're going to make up your own mind? So, whatever. I mean, I'm curious as to what you're interested in. And then in terms of other content, what are you looking for? Do you want, a lot of interviews? Do you want, insights? Do you want, retail tips? What is the thing that you as a cigar consumer are looking for in terms of content from the cigar media, and what's the best way that you think to get that? And then completely unrelated, but kind of an interesting segue here. Do go over to cigarpulpit.com and sign up for my newsletter. There's big things afoot there. I'm working hard on that. That will be launching the beginning of next year. And make sure you get in on the list there. I know some of you have definitely signed up since I started promoting this. I'd like a few more. There's more of you. There's plenty more of you out there. So make sure you sign up for that, and you won't be sorry. We're gonna be having some good fun with the newsletter. I'm not gonna blow you up. You're not going to get stuff every day. You're going to get stuff maybe once, maybe twice a month. It's going to be a very simple commitment, and it's free. It's totally free to you. So head on over to the website and sign up for that. Final thought on the HVC Hot Cake. I am thoroughly enjoying the cigar. I am not giving it nearly enough time and credit as I would like due to the fact that I'm smoking this on a solo episode and I don't have time to like truly stop and kind of analyze it, but I'm digging it. I hope that I have another one of these in the humidor so that I can smoke it on my own another time. On the plus side, I have at least half of it to smoke on my own after I hit end on this episode here. So, I guess that'll have to be good enough. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. It's always greatly appreciated. And this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Stay safe, stay smoky. And remember, head on over to the video side if you're not there already.
Are you going to be to your Mola?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to be to your Mola?
No, sir. No.
Alright, give me just 1 second, sorry.
Yeah, not a problem.
Hi, sorry about that. What can I get you?
Not a problem at all. Quick question for you. Your Happy Meals, are those with the Halloween buckets?
Yes, sir.
Could I please get one of those?
Do you want the hamburger, cheeseburger, four piece or 6 piece?
Cheeseburger, please.
Gotcha.
And can I also please get a 20-piece nugget meal?
I don't have the 20 pieces of meal.
Okay, well, that's fine. If I could just get a 20-piece nugget and a large fry.
Okay.
Now, here's a crazy question for you. I'm not sure if you can do this for me or not.
What's that?
So it's a me thing. Is there any way I could get all those nuggets in a boot shape? I end up throwing half these. So again, it's a me thing. It's really weird, but I can only eat the boots, and I have to throw away, or I'll have to either give away or throw away the rest because it's an OCD thing. I'm sorry.
Can you come through the first window?
Yeah, not a problem.
Alright, appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like a personal thing. It's OCD or something. I don't know. I can only eat the boot shapes and I throw away the rest. So I didn't know if it's possible to get like all boots in that 20 piece. If not, I don't want to put you out. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out. But
Can you repeat that?
yeah.
Repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I know it's weird. So I only eat the boot shapes, the boot shaped nuggets. I'm sorry. I'm really odd. And
Don't worry about it. I was just confused. I was like, what is the butcher bit? Okay, it makes sense now. Do you think that's possible?
I don't want you guys going out of your way or anything. Like I said, I'll figure it out. I'll give them my kid or something. But I'm sorry.
I think it'd take a minute.
That's fine. I have time. Yeah.
What is something?
I'm sorry. I know I'm weird. Like I said, if you can, I'll just give them my kid or something. It's not a big
Do you
deal.
want any sauce for the 20 piece?
Actually, yeah. If I could get 2 honey and 2 barbecue.
And what's the drink for the happy meal?
I'm sorry.
What's the drink for the happy meal?
Just cola's fine.
So the thing is that you won't come up. How can I explain this? Like in the bag, there's only, let's say, like 10 of the little boots. You know what?
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do? Because we can do it, but again, it's only like a certain amount of pieces.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Kinda, I think.
So
like I said, I don't want to put you guys out, so I understand.
It's cool. I'm just like trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it.
Oh, you guys are amazing.
He's doing it. Look. Like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I'll keep for the Happy Meal, the 20 piece with the 2 honey mustard and 1 barbecue and the large fry.
No, not honey mustard, just honey.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's not full. There's not. Okay. Do you want anything else?
No, sir.
All right, total's gonna be $22.71.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I don't dare ask for anything else. You guys are already so amazing.
It's cool. I was gonna be disappointed if we couldn't make it work. That's why I was trying so
Like I said, I'm used to it. It's not a big deal. You know, it goes to my kids or it gets thrown out. It's not a big deal. But I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. All right, let's go see how we did here. All right, and all right. So 8 minutes in, let's see. There's our fries. And they said they gave us 20 boots. There we go, 20 boots. That's pretty amazing. I probably had the best McDonald's in the world, and it's not even the one closest to me. It's probably about a half an hour from home. So thank you, McDonald's, and they did a really great job. That's amazing of them.